So what we covered so far was easy, and today what I'm going to cover is the most difficult part. Meaning the entire Dhamma is on this portion called Vijnana. We have covered many times, but with relation to nama-rupa and Vijnana and how it becomes Sankhāra. Okay, so that's most critical of it. So if you find anything which is missing or which is confusing, which is overwhelming, tiring, you can stop me. And we can stop the whole session itself because there's no other thing we can do. So let's understand the definition of consciousness. You might know it, but still, for helping Bobby majorly, let me quote from where it is so that it doesn't go into the round of finding it out. It's there in Kajjaniya Sutta. Okay? In that, Buddha explains what is consciousness. So, you need to know the knowing. This also there in Mahavedala Sutta. Earlier on, Bobby, what you asked me for, that is there in Mahavedala Sutta. Yesterday also I told you that. If you go through that Mahavedala Sutta, you will get the answer how Sariputta puts it in a very nice way about the Sanya Vidata Nirodha, Chetava Vimukti, all of that is there. But I would prefer that you get an experience on 7 jhana, okay? And you can get in through Shenial because he has already achieved it. So it makes more sense to take it on after you achieve the 7 jhana rather than getting caught up in which sutta talks about it. So let's keep it separate for time being, and you work with Shenial and get that 7 jhana, and you'll see for yourself when the self is not there, there's a vimukti and immediately. So you don't have to refer any sutta. You know you got it. It's just like eating apple, and you know that that's the taste of the apple. So you don't require a book to explain what's apple taste. Anyway, coming back to this Vijnana, it's the knower. Okay. In Mahavedala Sutta, Sariputta explains this as Vijanati Vijanati iti Vijnana. Janati. In Hindi, it is Janana, which means to know. In Pali, also the same word, Janati. So, to know. And in Kajjani Sutta, he says, what does it know? It knows this is sweet. It knows this is sour. This knows it is salty, like that. That's the knower. So if you ask a question, who is entering into first jhana? It is consciousness, not you. If you ask who is entering into second jhana, it's consciousness. And if you ask who is getting into Nirodha Samapatti, it's consciousness. It's not you. So, per definition or per understanding, it is the knower. You don't have to teach it. It knows. Like Aryu is in Shenzhen. Consciously, he's experiencing Shenzhen. Now, you can't ask who is experiencing it. Answer would be Aryu, but it's not Aryu. It's the consciousness. What does that mean? It's being conscious that this is Shenzhen. It's being conscious that this is America. It's being conscious that this is, let's say, Australia. Simple. Just simple. For consciousness to arise, it requires a medium. Without a medium, it can't arise. And what's that medium? The medium is nama-rupa, which we already covered. So the question comes, is consciousness dependent or independent? And the consciousness is dependent. Like Ariu being in Shenzhen, Luke being in Shenzhen. Is it real? Yes, it is, as far as the consciousness which has got established in Shenzhen, because there is Shenzhen to experience. What if you remove Shenzhen? Can Ariu experience Shenzhen? And the answer is no. Let's say Ariu flies from Shenzhen to some other place. Shenzhen is gone. He can say, I was in Shenzhen, but he can't never say, I am in Shenzhen, because it's was. And there's one sutta where Buddha explains, if any smart person were to understand adhivachana, that is how to speak, he will use I was instead of I am. He knows when to use I was and when to use I am and when to use I will be. Like if I were to ask Ariu, when will you be in Mountain View? He would say, I'll be in 5 weeks' time. But he's not going to say, I am in Mountain View now. I was in Mountain View now. No, it looks weird because the consciousness knows what to put where. So in the language created, you're going to say, or he's going to say, I left Mountain View or I left San Francisco on so-and-so date and I landed in Shenzhen on so-and-so date. Now I am in Shenzhen. That makes sense because it's was and now and later. But all these three are mental constructs, meaning all these past, present, and future are constructed in consciousness as reality. They don't exist. They exist only as far as name and form goes. Okay, if you remove name and form, there can't be any conscious experience of yesterday. There can't be any conscious experience of today. And there can't be any conscious experience of tomorrow. Only name and form is there. There can be an experience called as yesterday and today and tomorrow. And that's the answer to the $1 million question, whether consciousness is permanent or impermanent or both. And the answer is consciousness is conditioned because of name and form. Any question before I go even more deeper than this? Yes, Chirag.
Okay, so I have a question. So let's say clearly, consciousness rises because of name and form. And if let's say you're not sitting somewhere, or if you're not talking to someone, there's no nama-rupa, there's no consciousness, so there's no one to perceive that thing, right?
No.
Is that right?
No, you're
No,
wrong.
it's not right.
You're still seeing.
Okay. But consciousness is not there though.
Who says?
Right?
I has a consciousness.
No, if nama-rupa is not there.
I has a consciousness. EYE has a consciousness. The seeing. It is not verbalizing, but it's seeing. It's seeing. So the question here is, how many consciousnesses are there? So then I have to come back to the basic elements, basic thing which we covered a long time ago, but it's okay. It's worth it. There is no one consciousness, there are 6 consciousnesses. I has its own conscious experience. Ear has its own conscious experience. Like that. So whatever I has, the ear will not have. Meaning to say, you can't make I to eat or to hear or to smell or to taste or to touch. It can't. It can only see. And ear cannot do the other five. The nose cannot do the other five. Each has its own role to play. Nose will not get involved with eyes. Cares damn about what eyes are going to see and not interfere. Yes, Shaniel, go ahead.
Velasji, feel free not to answer this now if it will be a sidetrack. But what happens in sixth jhana? Because that.
Wait, I'm going to come to that.
Okay.
Let me finish with this guy and then I'll come to that. Good catch. Let's keep that. But I'm going to answer that. Yeah. Yes, Chirag. Pi consciousness plus 1. You will always keep it this way. Pi consciousness plus 1. Like in the same sutta, what we have taken up, he starts asking the bhikkhus, how many consciousness have I told you? Look at this sati. He's talking about 1. In how many times have I to tell you? Depending upon the eye and the sight, there is eye consciousness. Depending upon the ear and the sound, there is ear consciousness. And even then, this sati has atrocity to tell me there's only one consciousness, and that goes from body to body. And he literally rips him off, saying that you're brought disgrace, you're such a person, blah, blah, all that. He blasts him like crazy if you read the sutta. In fact, if you are sati, you will start crying. Because sati didn't do a mistake. Actually, he said what he understood properly. But Buddha says, when did I say this? If sati was smart enough, he could have asked, sir, I'm not talking about the dependent consciousness. I'm asking about unestablished consciousness. Is there anything called as unestablished consciousness? And Buddha would have said, bingo, you got it, sati, you're an arhat. And that idiot took the other route of asking, this is the same consciousness which goes from body to body, and Buddha went wild. So now you need to know one other thing, Chirag. There are two consciousness, not one. One which is established on name and form, one which never get established at all. And that consciousness which doesn't get established at all is not conditioned by anything. And that which doesn't get conditioned is Nibbana. If you are dead, you can't experience Nibbana. It becomes Parinibbana. Meaning, after Nibbana, when the person dies. Because you can experience Nibbanic bliss, so there should be consciousness to continue that. And hence is Nibbana. We are not talking about the Nibbanic consciousness at all. So whenever we talk about consciousness in Patisamutpada, it is always 6 consciousness. If you read Patisamutpada Vibhanga or Vibhanga Sutta itself, Buddha tells that. So 6 consciousness. Why go so far? In any Sanyukta Nikaya, he says, what is consciousness? Chakku Vinyana, Sota Vinyana, Ghana Vinyana, Jivha Vinyana, Kaya Vinyana, Mano Vinyana. Don't forget this. This is for everyone, and especially for Bobby, because he's going to come back to me saying that, tell me how many consciousness are there. You have Sanyukta Nikaya starting from 12.2 to 12.195. You can have hundreds of suttas which will tell you how many consciousnesses are there. Okay, now coming back to this subject, Chirag, you see an object there is a conscious experience. And that conscious experience is phassa, contact. And because of that, there is feeling. We already covered it. Clear? So even if you are not seeing someone, meaning you're not giving your sight to someone, still there is consciousness. That means there is nama-rupa. Okay, now coming to Shaniel's question, sixth one. There is this body gone. That means, how do you associate something? The association happens due to akara, shape, linga, feature, nimitta, symbol, uddesa, verbalization for what that purpose is. When you lose the rupa, and when the ayatana, the six senses, get into spaciousness, that is fifth jhana, the eyes doesn't become my eye, you just have an awareness of I, E-Y-E, that's it. There's no feeler per se for any conscious experience to happen except for perceiving the I. Okay. You are not perceiving a particular sound, but the sound is coming. Let's say I'm in jhana 6, just sound and sound of sound. Okay. Then the fun thing is on the touch. You're sitting, but you don't have body. So what happens? You become everything. So the body sense door is now replaced by the subtle body, which is manomaya kaya, which is the arupa jhana. The arupa, there's no rupa. So the spatial, it becomes so spacious that you become aware of the space within and outside. So when you are in that, you can't pinpoint and say, here I am. So there's no awareness of that, but just general awareness of awareness. The private awareness is this eyes, ear, nose, tongue, body with this body. And the other awareness is when you don't have this. And hence it seems to be infinite. Finite was this body. Now you don't have a body to experience that consciousness. So then the question comes, is it merging into one consciousness? Yes, it is. Without that, you can't have the seventh jhana, which is Cheto Vimukti. To have the Chitta Vimukti, you shouldn't have anything hindering it. So space, infinite space cuts off the body, leading on to the infinite consciousness. So the six consciousness, which were just like a periscopic vision, if I could use that periscope, and then you're sorry, not periscope, this what is the kaleidoscope, where you have different colors and happening in this one, that one. Instead of the kaleidoscope, you just have one bright light. And that experience of just being aware takes on to no self state. So I am not seeing, I'm not hearing, I'm not tasting, I'm not touching, I'm not smelling, makes the chitta vimukta of this holding on to the ayatanas. So it just goes back and stays, and then, wow, where am I? Because you are not there. And it means 5, 6, 7, subtle differences. And the major difference is in 7. Without 5 and 6, you can't reach 7. Meaning if I were to go into the 7 directly, it means I have already attained 5 and 6. So that's the time when it seems to be a one single awareness. No separate.
Thank you. Thank you, Vilas.
Yeah, sure.
Really, really good explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, without that, you can't attain 7. It is impossible. Okay. So when you are in 7 or 6 or 5, so let's start with 5, or let's start with 4. Equanimity. What does that means? This ayatana is with this body. Body has a particular feeling called as body feeling. It can feel pain, make it as a body pain, dukkha, and it has sukha, body pleasure. When does it happen? When does this pleasure pain happen? When Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu gets stuck somewhere, then it pains because it's trying to move, and the air trying to move will keep on hitting that object. So the only way the brain can register that is through pain, is by pain receptors. So the brain will start sending impulses saying that there is a pain, release the pain, do something. And when the Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu is running beautifully without any hindrance, it's when the pleasure is felt. Why? Because Patavi has lahuta, lightness, kammanyata. You can wield it the way you want. These two. And muduta, that means it can be made into a very soft thing, like soft toy. It's Patavi, basically. So just like iron, you were to smelt it at 56,000 degrees, it becomes water. It loses the cohesive aspect and becomes spread out. So that means this body is same. So when body disperses, that means the atom starts to disperse, it creates lightness that is experienced in the body. So how many Vedanas are there? 2 Vedanas, Sukha, Dukkha. When it comes to mental, there are 3, Domanasa, Somanasa, Upekha. Now we'll take the Upekha for the 4 jhana, not Adukha, Sukha, Vedana, Upekha. Now when it comes to Upekha, it from Upa means near, Akha is to see. Upekha means you see from near. There's no object. So you basically disconnect the body and mind so that you can see this voidness in both. So you are not having domanasa, you are not having somanasa, you're not having body pain as dukkha, you're not having body pleasure as in sukha. As there in the sutta itself, all 4 jhana sutta, if you read the same passage is there. In experience, actually what happens is, you can't pinpoint and say, this is this. It's just like being in void. And hence, when he does the Samma Samadhi, Buddha talks about only 4 jhanas. He doesn't talk about Arupa jhana at all, because you're equanimous to everything. You're not bothered. Let's say, taking same example of Shaniel visiting Ariu's home and Chirag's home and Cupertino. Let's say he went to the Apple. He can just make it disappear. That means he's equanimous. Person coming, hey Shaniel, how are you doing? Blah, blah, all that. He's just, I'm doing good, and gone. Next scene comes, hey, how is it? And that's it. So he's seeing someone talking, he can keep it, reject it, whatever he wants. And that's equanimity. If a person stays in equanimity for some time, then the consciousness departs from that equanimous into spaciousness. That means it cuts off the body completely, staying on the ayatanas only. the six ayatanas. So it just becomes space, becomes light, and there's nothing there. So it just feels like infinitely he's traversing, or any person, not only Shaniel, any person. Then comes to the sixth one, becomes just an awareness, just a passive awareness. What does that mean is that just like the mirror on my left hand side, I have a mirror there. It's just reflection of the mirror. There's no person there. Just coming and going, coming and going. There's just an awareness of something coming and going. There's perception, but there's no feeling of good, bad, ugly, or whatever that is. Okay. And that helps to get into the seventh jhana, which is no self. And he can stay there. Anyone. Okay. And if that happens, then the Sankhāra stops. Because there's no Sankhāra. What does that mean? There's no intention. Sankhāra means a volitional way of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. What he says, what is Sankhāra? Again in the Kajjaniya Sutta, he says, Sankharonti, Abhisankaronti, Sankhāra. He gives a beautiful definition for that. Sankharonti, I will do this. Abhisankaronti, I want to do this. And in another sutta, he talks Abhisancheti. Chitta is mind. Abhisancheti means I will use my mind in this way. Abhisancheti. Okay. So either one of these three, either one of these three will give you the same effect. So when you go up, how the vijnana turns back into nama-rupa is one whirlpool effect, and it breaks from there and takes on to the Sankhāra, becomes like 8. So it starts like this and goes and attaches to Sankhāra, and then nama-rupa and vijnana and Sankhāra like this action. And that you need to break, because it's a double twist, one twisting and another twisting on the other side. So it becomes 8. So you have to somehow hold one of them and turn this straight. So it becomes just one rubber band, and you cut the band. And that's Arhat. So his question is, how does this consciousness gets attached? What's the origin, nidana? What's the samudaya, arising? What's the jatika, birth? And what is the pabhava, the effect of it? He says, Sankhāra. Now, Sankhāra definition, I have given it from the same sutta, Kajjaniya Sutta. Vijnana definition also I have given it from the same sutta. So, Bobby, if you have any doubt on that, you can just refer to that sutta. It helps you in understanding both the Sankhāra. In fact, he is given for all, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhāra, Vijnana in the Kajjaniya Sutta. So you can understand it far better on this. But on the Sankhāra, now I'm coming on the Sankhāra to Vijnana. And I'm also continuing on Sankhāra to nama-rupa, because that 8 symbol is, the middle one is a Vijnana. It moves up into this and goes down into the nama-rupa. Yes, go ahead.
Vilas, did you say when you were talking about this 6th jhana and 7th jhana, you were talking about this agara, linga, that's how it works. You're trying to connect that. So I was just thinking when it is arupa, how this works there in
Arupa, there is no rupa.
Yeah, there is no rupa. So this all attributes to rupa, right?
Yes, but it has to get out of the ayatana. It has to get out of the memory. That means you will have to have an animitta happening there. If the animitta doesn't happen, you don't go into the arupa jhana at all. So his question was, what happened to that consciousness?
So then you are saying that there is this shape and agara, this
Nama-rupa is there, right? See, you look at Patisamutpada. What does he say? Avidya, Pachaya, Sankhāra, Sankhāra, Pachaya, nama-rupa. Sorry, Vijnana. Vijnana, Pachaya, nama-rupa. It's there.
Okay, so that means even in the Aruba, this what you are saying, linga.
That is a memorization, my dear friend. It is
that's
a
memory. Okay.
It is memorization. Otherwise, Vijnana has memory.
So some shape you are imagining it is happening, some shape. So I was thinking like, when it is...
Akasha is Akasha is also an
Akara.
akara.
Oh yeah, so there is a shape in that. It is...
Without
there's
nimitta. No, Bobby, I think without nimitta, you are dead. And that's the reason I was telling Shaniel that you need to have some symbol to come back. Okay.
So when the sutta says it is expanded, immeasurable, still some shape is there.
All the four attributes are there, but the only thing is that there's no patig, there's nothing to strike. So it becomes infinite. For nama is going to there, but the rupa is not there. The rupa as in Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu is not there. So can anything strike on that? On the phassa?
So some mental things are there.
It will be there, Bobby. See, the phassa is going to be there. Without phassa, how can you have a sixth jhana experience or fifth jhana experience? The phassa has to be there. Contact has to be there. Feeling has to be there. Perception has to be there. The intention has to be there. Manasikara has to be there. Otherwise, how can you go into arupa jhana?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out that.
No, that is right. My question here, a counter question to you, Bobby, is...
Yeah, it doesn't work. That's what I feel. But
yeah, it doesn't work. But what I'm trying to say here is, when I say I have no self, because there is nothing to strike. So in the phassa, contact, when it contacts, there is no contact with any rupa, with the eye or the ear or the nose or the tongue or the body and the mind. And hence, it breaks there. So the chitta cannot move forward. It moves, it stays wherever it is. As an observer, as just like if I use Goenka's terminology, I can say Sakshi just becomes a witness, just the bare witness. And hence, it experiences something called as Cheto Vimukti. And hence in the Kitagiri Sutta, Buddha says Cheto Vimukti, Panya Vimukti. Two Vimuktis he talks about. If the Cheto Vimukti equals Panya Vimukti, then there's no need for a Panya Vimukti and Ubhato Bhaga Vimukti also along with that. So when you are in jhana, if you are in seventh jhana and you can stay in the seventh jhana, then akincha ayatana means there is nothing inside there. So you have cut off the subject-object relationship. So you don't experience anything as good as that. There's no self-experience or anything belong to the self. So like that. But there is ayatana. Even in the Chula Shunyata Sutta, the question what you were asked, he's there, he's covered there. He says still the ayatana exists. You have to see what exists and what doesn't exist. He gives a beautiful way of explanation. He says what is there in Manasikara, what is there not there in Manasikara. So what is there in Manasikara is ayatana is there. It's going to be there. So don't get worked up that there's no ayatana.
I was a bit confused with that infinite word. It's all infinite, right? So
it is infinite. Finite means with something, with some obstruction. Infinite is without any obstruction. All the four arupa jhanas have no obstructions. Obstruction as in rupa. Then you can even ask this question, Bobby, if I were you, I'd ask, then what's the difference between the rupa jhanas then?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm going to answer to that because then I don't want to live in lurch. It's like this. So how many rupa, how many loka are there? Can you tell me? Or how many bhava are there?
You mean this sensual world then this Ruba world and Aruba world. So some of them it covers.
No, you need to understand in a very deeper context. When we say Kama Loka, it means from subtlest, from frame, no, subtle frame to the gross frame.
Yes.
Subtle frame is Deva realms. Gross frame is from human downwards. Okay. So that is Kama Loka. So there are two things separating out. One is a Kama Sugati, meaning good place to reside, and Kama Dugati, not a real good place to reside. Okay. Now, when we say Kama, you can ask another question. Does that mean in the Rupa Jhana there is no Kama? And the answer is yes, there is absolutely no Kama.
Sorry, what are you saying? Like in the Ruba, there is no Kama.
There's no Kama.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you explain further, I'll understand. I thought in Ruba world there is still essential.
That's the reason today I sent you read MN106. What will get released, what will come, what will get released, what will come. It's beautiful sutta, Aninja. Okay, anyway, leave it. Now you can read whenever you deem fit, or I suggest you don't read anything. For a few months you be with Shaniel and get experience, and when I'm there, we both will open it up and I will open up the wrap and show here it is. So
Yeah, I think that's my target, till when you come, I'm grounded on something.
yes, so you better know it is there, but don't get too detailed into it. Anyway, coming back to this, what I'm trying to say is that in Rupa, when we say Rupa, what does that mean? Rupa means something that can be experienced. Arupa means something that can never be experienced in a gross sense. Like, can you experience space? No, you can make out space, but you can't experience space. You can make out, the consciousness can make out this is space, but can you experience, like, I'm touching this guy here? No.
It's a perception, I think. It's a perception.
No, this is a Rupa.
No, what I mean, the other one, the space.
Yes. It's just a perceivable reality. It is not feeling and perceivable reality at the same time. You can't feel this is space, and then it is a perception. No. Can you perceive air then? Yes. But can you hold air in your hand like this? I'll hold air. No, right?
No.
How about fire?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you see, if you hold this air.
No, I'll tell you this answer also, so that you don't have to fight. Take a matchstick and a matchbox and a matchstick. There's no fire in the matchbox. There's no fire in the matchstick. Until you rub it, you can't see fire. So can we make an assessment that fire was already there in this place? And when these two came up, it created fire, or the fire was already there in the box in a non-inflammable state, and then when it struck, the fire came, or the fire was already there in the stick, and when you rub it, the fire came up. Which one is true?
It is conditioned.
I know it is conditioned, but tell me the fire was there.
Rubbing only it happens.
That's fine. Rubbing only it happens, but was the fire already there? And now you're seeing it. And the answer is the fire is already there. As what? As temperature, heat or cold.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to say. When you hold this, So, some temperature is there, right? So in my hand also,
Yes.
and even some air also is there. So it is, I can't say that.
But you can't hold air. So now the question comes, subtlest to the grossest. Space, subtlest. Air, subtle. Fire, little bit gross. Water, gross. Earth, grossest. So if you look at Earth, you have Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha. And hence it is called as Mahabhuta. Because Bhuta means ghost. They take ghostly transformations from earth to water to air to fire to air to space. Now, what's the proof? Simple. Take an ice cube or ice block, keep it up, instantly turns water. Then put that ice block into a tumbler, into a basin, and start heating it up, becomes water. And after that, it turns steam. And after that, it evaporates into air. So, in that utensil, you will not find neither the earth, that means ice block, nor the water, nor the fire, nor the air, nor the space. It's removed. You can only assess, oh, it went to space. Because you can't find it. So let's take Mara as an example. Mara can see ice block. Can Mara see it evaporating? So Buddha explains in MN106, this Rupa is the Mara domain, not the Rupa Jhana, the Rupa. This 16 lokas of Kama, Sugati and Dugati added together is Mara's domain. And what happens to the Rupa Loka? It's Brahma realm.
Yeah, sorry. I think you explained all these things in Mulapariya Sutta very detailed, So
I know that, but then what to do, Bobby? When you ask
thank
me,
you for your patience in explaining that again. Thank you.
yeah, when you keep on asking me that question, I have to go back and explain back again. Anyway, it's fine with me. I'm absolutely fine. I have no, but all that I want for everyone to have is a clarity how things come to be, that you don't get caught up. Anyway, coming back to this subject, is that it becomes 8. So Buddha calls it as Vattam Vattati. Vatta means whirlpool. Vattati is to turn around. Okay. And don't ask me, Bobby, where this Vattam Vattati is there. I can give you hundreds of suttas with that. Vattam Vattati. So it's like whirlpooling. It becomes 2 whirlpools, one going in one direction and another going in another direction, creating a vortex. It just keeps on pulling things against it. So now if you want to remove one whirlpool, it pulls the other one. So they become one and start circling. Okay. Now what you can do? You have to make the consciousness realize that it is just water. Meaning, as far as the whirlpool goes, you can really say that's where it is. And when the whirlpool is gone, you can't say where it existed or where it went. That's what Nibbana is, what Buddha explains. It gets extinguished. Okay, coming back to this point. The breaking, which Vipassi did as well as Gautama did while he became a Buddha, is he came to this whirlpool, is the mirror image like 8. The Vijnana is the one which is biting onto both the Sankhāra and the nama-rupa. So a smart person takes a smart scissor and cuts at the center. And when the Vijnana Nirodha happens, both the nama-rupa and the Sankhāras are gone. And that's the final end of suffering. So he asked this question, what's the cause? What's the condition? So I was talking to Shaniel. When this happened to me, so I'll share to all of you. So I was asking Shaniel, because after you all met, Lata was there, so we were discussing, and I was talking to her about consciousness and name form and all that. So her question was that now that I'm going to Australia, I mean, it's not her question, her thought process was when I said that, will Shaniel, when I get a job with Shaniel or get a job back when I come back to Bangalore, that's, if we take that as a conscious experience, and what's going to happen? One of the three should happen. One, I land back and no job, both sides. Meaning neither Shaniel took me, nor the company where I resigned took me. Okay, this is one piece of thing. Second piece, let's say I join Half Bricks, and that means I can't join ABB back. Or third option, I don't get in Half Bricks and I get in ABB back. So I was just talking to him how the consciousness makes a footing. This I also explained to Lata. So basically it's searching for the food. So if I take Half Bricks a long time to come, it creates a whirlpool there and becomes a Sankhāra. So nama-rupa on one side, yahi akara, yahi linga, yahi nimitta, yahi uddesha, that is half brick is the akara, half brick is the linga, half brick is the nimitta, that what he's keeping there, and half brick is the uddesha, or the purpose, the verbatim purpose. If somebody were to ask me that, are you joining Half Bricks, and I can give a full brick story, how it all happened and why I think I should join, etc., etc. Or I can join back to this one, which is Yahi Akara, which is ABB, Yahi Linga, the feature or characteristics, Yahi Nimitta, that is the symbol ABB, and the Uddesha, the purpose for which I am back in ABB. So I'm an agile person and this, blah, blah, all that. Right? So if there's nothing to strike, that is no patigga sanya or patigga sampassa. Patigga means to strike. So while I'm talking to Shaniel or the other day, while he was flying on that day to Australia, that was Friday night or evening, it stuck to me that I cut off Sankhāra and nama-rupa at the same time. It was fantastic peace. I got rid of all the three options. To join Half Bricks went away. To join back ABB went away. To not join either ABB or Half Bricks went away. Leaving nothing. I really messaged after coming back home. It was such a nicest experience which I had while talking to Ravindra the other day. It again came back as a most peaceful state, and I wrote back to Shaniel. He was going to the airport. So I wrote to him that you did it. You helped me in getting me rid of these two circles. It was fascinating because consciousness did not get any footing. It's amazing. If there is no nama-rupa, there is no vijnana. So that's the end of suffering. So what happens? In rupa, shuddhashtaka or kalapa. In vedana, upekha. In sanya, anicca. In sankhāra, the samatha, and vijnana, nirodha, done. I was literally feeling so light that I was feeling, wow, this is amazing. if I can stay this state forever, and that's it. That's the end of suffering. The asava kaya jnana happens because I now went back like this. So nama-rupa pachaya salayatana. Now for nama-rupa to happen, the 8 is vijnana. The first circle is vijnana. And it goes like this and becomes Sankhāra. And this 8, not seeing it, is the avidya. So avidya, pachaya, Sankhāra. For the avidya should happen, I require asava. And you might ask me, Bobby, from where did you import this avidya, pachaya, asava? It is there in the same sutta or all the suttas. What does he say? Asava kaya jnana. So what should be the starting point for an avidya to have? Asava. So how many asavas are there? 4 asavas. Kamasava, bhavasava, ditthiyasava, avidyasava. Now when I wanted to become part of half bricks, it's bhavasava. And I want to become part of ABB, is again bhavasava. And if I want to get into rupa jhana, is again bhavasava. If I want to get into arupa jhana, it is bhavasava. On that day, when I spoke to Shaniel, there was no asava. It just stuck. Over. I was feeling, wow, again I did it. I did once with idli when I was explaining to Ravindra. So panya vimukti, literally, it was literal. And when I spoke to Shaniel, after I kept down the phone, looking at where is half brick? Nowhere to be found. And where is ABB? Nowhere to be found. I said, wow, where's Sankhāra now? No Sankhāras. No Kai Sankhāra, Vachi Sankhāra, Mano Sankhāra. All the 3 Sankhāras are cut. That means I'm not feeling half brick. I'm not feeling ABB. I'm not perceiving half brick. I'm not perceiving ABB. And that's the end of suffering. And when I'm seeing road, I'm seeing everything, I'm feeling, wow, this what a state to be in. I was so happy. I messaged Shaniel back saying that you did something today for me. I don't know whether he did or he didn't do, but it was because I opened up that topic. So it was nice. Nicest experience after Ravindra, I think with him was the best experience because that 8 got cut. So now I found how this 8 happens on that day. And the consciousness is in the center. And there's another sutta, Bobby, for you. There are six one second. One second. There, one of them is leaving, so I'll just say bye-bye to them and come. Just be online. Sorry to hold you. Okay.
Oh, good. We lost you. I'll have to drop soon as well. So
Yeah. You won't even have to drop. I think we'll finish in another 2 minutes max.
Okay. Yep.
Or not even. I think in a minute. So if you cut that 8, it's there. There's another sutta which I was talking about. There's 6 bhikkhus giving Buddha each one that what is the start and what's the end and what's the middle. So in that, many of them say consciousness is the middle. And that's the truth. So if you cut the consciousness, these two will separate out. So neither the nama-rupa will exist, nor the Sankhāra will exist. So that's the end of the suffering. And that's the end of today's session also. Okay, so we'll meet tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, I don't think so. Ariu is there, so we can't record it. So tomorrow when we meet, we'll do meditation on the same. We'll enter into all the jhanas. How long
Sounds
did
great.
the experience last? Yeah, it lasted for many hours, Ariu. I think it was it couldn't stay all the time, meaning it was there until early evening. better than what I spoke to Ravindra. It was there till 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. I had spoken to him at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. When I met you also, Ariu, at your home, right, on Friday. So it remained at least for 10 plus hours. But not yet. It should be for 7 days. Sorry, wrong number. Still not there. And it 8 again became. So now I don't even remember that state which I was in. Sorry. All right.
All right. Teruvan Saranai.
Sarnai, bye-bye.